Lafayette High School and the Tippecanoe County Courthouse. In 1928, David Lynn Ross donated the use of the second floor of a brand new building at 838 Main Street, rent-free until 1960. For 32 years, we paid $1 a year to house the art museum in the second floor of that facility. Our permanent collection began with the purchase of Cruise of the Elida by F. Louise Morris for $600. More works by important artists were continued to be purchased in the following years with the board's directive to acquire at least one per year. This is Frederick Grant's Red Parasol. There was big news in 1960. We purchased land from Tippecanoe County Historical Association right behind the Fowler House, and that's where we're still located today, and broke ground for a new Lafayette Art Center, costing $90,000. And the president of the board of directors is Oliver Dunn, pitching the dirt there. And if you see to his right, how many of you remember Carl Kettlehut? That's Carl Kettlehut built the building. Walter Scholler and Lloyd Moser designed the building. Walter and Lloyd were both presidents of the art museum at one time. And that's what it looked like when it opened up. The entrance was on 9th Street. In 1981, the museum was expanded with the addition of the Wild Wing, adding a gallery for the permanent collection, an office for the executive director, and another classroom and a wheelchair accessible elevator and bathroom. In 1982, the museum changed our name to the Greater Lafayette Museum of Art. It's been changed again since then. It was changed at that time because we received accreditation as a full-fledged art museum by the American Association of Museums. Of the estimated 33,000 museums in the United States, only 1,065 have been accredited. So we're the only accredited museum of any kind in Northwest Indiana. The accreditation ensures the integrity and accessibility of museum collections, reinforces the education and public service roles of museums, and promotes good governance practices and ethical behavior. Today, as the only accredited museum in Northwest Indiana, we serve 14 counties and Purdue University. By the way, Purdue University is the only Big Ten out of all 16 Big Ten university members that does not have an art museum. So we provide service to the entire university as well as the community of Greater Lafayette. In 1985, board member Mickey Shook passed away, and funds were raised to build another expansion in her honor, the Mickey Shook Wing, adding office space, a formal entry, and a multi-purpose community gallery. Well, let's go to the present. Here's what we do today. The museum's in great shape with no debt. Our foundation assets are $1.6 million. Jeff serves on the board that governs those assets. In addition to income from our foundation, we also receive annual income from 5 community foundation dedicated endowments totaling $80,000. Annual membership is over $100,000, and we recently saved up enough money to establish a $100,000 reserve operating fund, a rainy day fund, if you will. A permanent collection. This is a painting by Will Vaughter called Scene of an Alley, one of the prized pieces we have in our collection. And we have changing exhibitions in the Wild Gallery 2 times a year, all showing works from the permanent collection that we have. And I'll give you a little history about our collection. As we started out collecting, I showed you the first one we purchased in 1911. And in 1909 to 2009, our first 100 years, we collected 805 objects. From 2010 to 2017, we added 541 more objects for a total of 1,346 by the end of last year. So the rate of collecting has gone way above 1 painting per year. We've had gifts for the collection as well as purchases made by our endowments. Some recent important gifts to the collection was in 2008, Albert Ewell donated 37 pieces of Inuit carvings. In 2012, Mike and Mary Lou Hasegawa donated their entire collection of Southwest pottery. There are at least 3 objects from all 21 pueblos in the Southwest. It's a very complete collection. And in 2015, Rudy Pizzotti donated 118 prints and drawings added to the 45 that we already have. So we have the largest collection of Rudy Pizzotti's work. And he's a professor emeritus at Indiana University. We have more pieces than our museum has. He's a really good friend of our museum. We're going to open an exhibition of Rudy's prints and collages on June 22nd from 5:30 to 7:30. Rudy will be here. His daughter is driving him up from Bloomington. Rudy's 85 years old. Great speaker, really wonderful, personable person. If you'd like to come to that opening, you can find it on our website. In 2017, just recently, Richard Benning and his late wife Phyllis Benning Richard donated a collection that they had put together over their lives together of 26 paintings by Indiana artists. And those are on exhibit right now in the art museum. 11 of them our collections committee deemed important enough to put into our permanent collection. Last year, we presented 18 exhibitions in 4 galleries. We exhibit a wide range of artwork, abstract, cultural work, historic exhibitions, regional work, national invitationals, and public art. You might remember the hogs, the frogs, the dogs, and then find the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, in 2015, where the streets were decorated with these wonderfully beautiful painted animals. Bob Rohrman was the major sponsor for Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. So there were 2 lions, 1 tiger, and I don't know if you saw the tiger. It was in front of Fountain Gallery on Main Street across from the courthouse, and 37 bears throughout Lafayette and West Lafayette. We do those occasionally to bring art out into the community. So, and our education initiatives include the Monufan Art Education Center, where it was remodeled recently with a $150,000 gift and dedicated in 2012. We offer classes in the spring, summer, and fall for children, teens, and adults. Many of our students are retired people who are looking to get back into something to do with their hands, or maybe they were an artist at one time, or loved art, studied art, or just want to enjoy pottery or painting, drawing, pastels. We have classes in all those, and there's you can sign up now for summer classes and workshops. Art Smart Indiana is a program that we have that provides free history of the state of Indiana to fourth grade students throughout the state when they have to learn about the history of Indiana in their social studies class. We provide that with grant. We've supported that program with grants since 1985. It's a website being updated right now thanks to another grant from the McAllister Foundation. And many teachers, we give teacher workshops all over the state to show the teachers how to use the website and the lesson plans to teach the history of Indiana through those works of art. We were named a Bicentennial Legacy Project. We also provide the Oakland High Schools, the Lafayette School Corporation Alternative School, They have a small number of students who probably wouldn't graduate from high school if they didn't have this opportunity to get more one-on-one education. And they didn't have funds for, when they opened, didn't have any funding for art classes. So we've provided those since they opened that about 4 years ago with volunteers. We have artist gallery talks regularly. We have tours to other museums. This was Art Prize in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We've gone to Columbus, Ohio, South Bend, and this fall, October 26th, 27th, we're taking a bus trip to Cincinnati. We have docent-led group tours in our galleries. If you ever want to bring one of your groups that you're associated with to come and see the works that are on exhibit, let us know in advance, and we provide volunteer docents who learn all about the works that are on exhibit, and we'll talk to you about them. We have a really great supporting organization they call the Art League. They've been serving the museum for over 50 years, and their membership has swelled to over 250. They host lunches and lectures. They host exhibition openings and receptions. They provide art scholarships for studio classes, purchase artwork for the permanent collection, and they have this is an annual fashion show that they have in the spring each year, which is sold out every year. I think they had over 300 people there. I don't know if Jeff Love is in the picture there, but yeah, he's there. Purdue Federal is a diamond sponsor for that fashion show, so Jeff gets to escort the models on and off the stage.
That's the job I have all year.
It's a tough job. And we have live performances to bring people into the art museum. We started 2 years ago a series called Friday Night Live, which is also supported by Purdue Federal Credit Union. And the last Friday of every month from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the galleries, we have a musical performance. And these performers are generally emerging artists, or they might have followings in the area. Some of them you might not have heard of, but we support all genres of music. We've had choirs, and we've had jazz, rock and roll, rap. Next, on June 29th, we have a group called Classic Bang from 7 to 8, and it's free thanks to sponsorship. We also, that's a Friday Night Live in one of our galleries. Every Martin Luther King Day, we invite the Karaka Riders. It's a student group in the Purdue, associated with the Black Cultural Center at Purdue. They like to, they're a club, a writing club. And on Martin Luther King Day, we invite them to write stories about Martin Luther King, how he might have affected their family or their lives, or what's important to them, or how it affects our culture today. And they're really amazing kids. It's always a really heartwarming event. And that's free at noon on Martin Luther King Day. Well, with all the positive changes that we've really outgrown our facilities. Our permanent collection storage is full. This is inside our permanent collection storage area. Many of our galleries are too small to accommodate major exhibitions. Presentation spaces are inadequate for the audiences. A Friday Night Live, several of them we've had to turn away, people that don't get there in time. We have Art League luncheons in a space that they have to limit the number of people that can come because it's not quite adequate. Our reception area is too small. Event seating is limited. Office space is at capacity. So we're now in the early stages of creating a new museum that'll meet the needs of the community for the future. We did a community survey, and that we had over 1,000 responses to a survey that the Cranard team did for us last year. And what we found out that people would like to have in a centrally located museum, arts center facility is one, they want an easily accessible central location, dynamic and interactive art exhibits, live music performances, presentations and demonstrations by artists, meeting rooms for small and larger groups, a restaurant and a coffee shop, a place to hang out, easy access to parking, bus lines, and bicycles and pedestrian trails. So let's think about a vision for the future. Picture an architecturally significant art museum on the west bank of the Wabash River. This is in the Tapawingo Park area. It's inside Tapawingo Park and connected to the trail system. Keystone Architecture's concept for a 40,000 square foot new Center for the Arts has recently been unveiled. Only very few groups have seen this presentation, by the way. Our boards of directors have both seen it, but out in the public, you're probably like the second group that we showed this to. It'll be connected to the Myers Pedestrian Bridge in downtown Lafayette. It'll be easy access for pedestrians, autos, and public transportation, right on Tapawingo Drive in the wooded area. Go back here. If you look to the left, I think this got a pointer on it. So, oh, it won't show up on the screen. Okay. Show them where there's a new traffic circle, a roundabout. Yeah, that's the area. Show them where the roundabout is now. It's not on, Jeff, to the left of that, the roundabout, that's not on that picture.
It's not on that.
Yeah. Okay, so that intersection is Tapawingo and State Street. So that wooded area to the right between the pedestrian bridge and State Street is the area that the city of West Lafayette is providing for us for no charge, hopefully, maybe $1 a year. We haven't worked it out yet, but it won't be any more than that. And that's where we plan to relocate this wonderful facility. We'll have limited on-site parking with a parking garage underneath and access to the city's parking garage right across the street for all of our larger events. Be walking distance from the Purdue campus, of course. Spacious grounds, and if you've seen the new trails that come down State Street, the very wide bicycle paths and walking paths come right down from the campus and end right in front of that space. So it's a wonderful location to attract the people from Purdue University and to get them involved in the facility. There'll be spacious grounds with room for outdoor events, performances, and artwork. This is looking from walking across the pedestrian bridge. There'll be a rear entrance to the facility as well. Where the word art is, that will be a 150-seat theater to do live performances, lectures, and we'll use that for other organizations. We'll be able to use that facility as well. We have restaurants and movie theaters and shops all around. 2 hotels are across the street, so I know we'll have a lot of out-of-town visitors. We have exciting views of the Wabash River and downtown Lafayette. The brand new promenade that Lafayette's building is right directly across the river from this location. Inside the facility, I have a welcoming, spacious lobby overlooking the river, which can be used to seat up to 300 people for special events, and available to the community for your receptions. We'll have an Art Smart Indiana children's activity area with interactive art projects, a coffee shop, a restaurant, and a wine bar open to the public. We'll have a 150-seat theater. Students and families will be gathering there, surrounded by art. And we have a space carved out for a large space for a gallery for Purdue University. So we're working with Purdue and hoping that they will join us in this new museum project. So what are the next steps? Well, we have a capital campaign. We're beginning the silent phase of our capital campaign now. So we need to secure a lead gift or 2, and then we'll announce the campaign as we progress through it. The entire campaign will probably take 2 years. And when everyone says, well, when will you break ground? We don't know, because we have a lot of money to raise first, but you generally in campaigns, capital campaigns like this, people pledge from 3 to 5 years, and you really can't build it with pledges, so we'll have to have collected the money before anything is begun. So I would say it'll probably be 4 to 5 years before we break ground. That's the best guess. We could do it faster, but I don't know if that's possible yet. Do you have any questions? Yeah?
After it's built, where will the operating money come from?
Good question. So part of our $22 million capital campaign, $5 million of that is going to be, and part of every gift, unless the donor doesn't want it to go, that's a proportion of every gift will go to our foundation. So the objective is to raise $5 million in our foundation, which is now $1.6 million. We receive a 5% of the trailing asset average for the last 3 years income to the museum from that. So if we raise our endowment in the foundation to $6.5 or $7 million, that'll be a big portion of the income, the revenue stream. That'd be $350,000. And then, in which we get $60,000 right now, a year, a little over 60. Another important part of the revenue stream is the area I said we'd open for special events, and the theater. Those will be spaces that we can rent, and so we have a business plan for doing that as well. In addition, we're supported by, I told you, membership. We expect membership to grow because right now we're a destination location. This will be a location where you can't miss us in Greater Lafayette, and we expect to get more members.
What's the prospect for the current building?
There was Plan A and Plan B. Good question there. If we include, so the current building has our classroom spaces in it. Also, we have our permanent collection house there in addition to the galleries. One plan is to keep that building because permanent collection space, there's never enough over time. There's not a museum in the country that doesn't have to build more space every year to collect, because that's what we do. We collect stuff. And we try to de-assess things that don't no longer meet the criteria that we have, but over time. One of the plans is to keep that building and keep the classes there. The second plan would be to put the classes and the permanent collection all in the new facility.
One final.
Will the site require fill to be above the floodwaters?
Yeah, that's a good, very good question. That's the first questions usually asked. So Keystone Architecture recently, they found a plan that FEMA had put together, actually last fall, brand new plan for what's going to happen with flooding and the emergencies in Lafayette. And you know that the worst flood on record was in 1913. Since then, there have been many changes to the tributaries and other flood prevention things that have been done to the rivers and the tributary rivers to the Wabash. So they don't think it can ever get that high, but our first floor, to answer your question, will be 4 feet above the 500-year floodplain. The 1,000-year floodplain is just about 5 feet above that. So you would have to, the whole entire West Lafayette Wabash landing area would be flooded if our first floor was flooded. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Kendall.
Very nice.